Warning. This program may contain adult-oriented themes, content, and program listener discretion is advised. Recorded live from Los Angeles, California, this is the Random Internet Radio Show with your host, Alan Wayne.
Let's not stand on ceremony here, Mr. Wayne.
Okay, what just happened? Alright, so this sums up the last 3 months of my life. I'm starting a show tonight. By the way, this is the Random Internet Radio Show, only on Spreaker.com. I'm your host, Alan Wayne. I'm starting a show tonight, and originally the plan was to debut the brand new unholy union of myself and Mr. Guy Allen Shea, who I consider to be my radio father. Well, that didn't happen. I got a message from his wife that he's been puking and basically liquidating out of both ends. So, he's in no real condition to rage this evening. So, I'm left on my own, and just as I'm trying to cobble together a show and go a little bit off the cuff as I usually do. I mean, I was prepared for this. I was ready to go toe-to-toe, head-to-head, tay-to-tay with Guy Shea. And no, it didn't happen. So, as I'm setting up here, my pop filter decides that it's just going to fall off. I mean, just nothing happened. Nothing caused it to fall off. It just fell off. And then it lands on my keyboard, which stops the intro. I mean, you can't make this shit up, guys. You cannot make this shit up. So, a lot has gone on lately. A ton has gone on lately. And for those of you who've been paying attention, it's a lot of it's revolved around my family. I've lost 2 very important members of my family to death in just the last 2 months. I mean, I'm talking like the 2 people who shaped my world, 2 of the people who shaped my world, 2 of the people who helped teach me right from wrong, 2 of the people who are my closest family. So, it's been just a crazy last couple months. Friday, ended up going to the funeral. This one I didn't have to put together, thank God. And it was pretty good. I mean, it was a nice little ceremony. It wasn't anything grand. I mean, my dad and I, we went hog wild over my mom. You know, we went in with no idea of what we were doing, and I'm pretty sure, even though my dad knew the mortician, I'm pretty sure we got fleeced. So I'm pretty sure that we were sold some services we didn't need. And we had the full church ceremony, we had the open casket, we had everything else. And per my grandmother's request, I came to find out, only a graveside service was required for her. So, went down to the cemetery, and it's very interesting to go to this particular cemetery. It's Rose Hills in Whittier. Interesting because so many of my family are buried there, and I remember I went to see my mother in Montebello, where she was staying before she passed. She was at a place called the Rio Hondo Subacute Nursing Center. And I remember pulling up. Now, for those of you who don't know where Montebello is, it's slightly on the outskirts of Los Angeles, maybe just south of Los Angeles. It's kind of a rough area, Montebello is. A lot of gangs hang out there, a lot of good people, but it's generally lower income. And so I pull into this place, beautiful place with fountains and just all sorts of beautiful ornamentation, I guess you could say, or beautiful design, I guess to really keep away from the horrors that resided inside. I mean, these were the worst of the worst. These were people who were either close to death or had circumstances that would be leading to their death. And I just remember that after I saw my mom, she was sleeping the one time one of the last times I went in. Of course, I saw her Mother's Day. She was sleeping, and I just recall that I walked to my car, and off in the distance was, and I mean, we're talking about across hundreds and hundreds of yards, and across the distance was Rose Hills, Whittier, the big sign that you see from the freeway, that you can see from multiple parts of LA, Rose Hills, Whittier. And I remember looking, and I remember like, God, I hope that's not my next destination. And it was night, and it was all lit up, and it was a beautiful scene, but still, Rose Hills, Whittier, right out there. And that's where a lot of my family's buried. My aunt, who I never got to meet because she was shot in 1977, and I was born in 1980, she's buried there. People I've never met, great-great-grandparents I've never met are buried there. My great-grandparents, who practically raised me, are buried there. And now, my mom's buried there. And now, my grandmother's buried there. So it's kind of a family thing. When I go, I don't think I want to be buried like that. I don't want people to be spending all that kind of money on me. I just want to be cremated, just burned up. Now, we already have a chatter. Somebody by the name of the Snake Pit, and it says, how far away is Chapman College from you? That's a random question. Chapman College is in Fullerton, and that is about 40 minutes south. So Chapman College is also where the Huell Hauser archives are, and for folks who've listened to me for a while, you know that I love Huell Hauser. That guy is awesome in my opinion. Got to meet him once. Yeah, just completely cool guy. And his archives are over there. So anyway, he says, this is Darren. Okay, for a minute I thought you might have been someone else who I'm going to discuss a little bit later today. There's been kind of a paradigm shift since I've been out of Spreaker for a little bit here, just kind of on my own. Actually, away from the Discord people. Away from the people who use Discord. Of course, millions of people use Discord for various things, but I'm talking about a certain group of Spreaker diehards who go on to Discord and chat and whatever. So, he says his son is moving there tomorrow. Yes, if you need me to keep an eye on your son, it's going to be a bit of a stretch for me. That's about 40 minutes out. So, it's kind of far away. So, anyway, we might have Debbie Daly calling in, and she could talk a little bit more about this Discord rift. Some of the people I've been associating with here have been basically feuding with each other, and I was on one other side. And welcome, Barco. Holy shit, dude. Barco is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Barco, for those of you who don't know, is a fucking badass. So welcome, Barco. Founder of Bastard FC and overall awesome trollish dude. So welcome, Barco. Thank you for showing up here. If it is the real Barco, even if it's not the real Barco, just the sheer name of Barco just gets me all excited, Not really. Barco says, leave it to California to name a college after Mark David Chapman. Yeah, well, California is in a weird state right now. But God damn it, this is about me. Damn it, I have had just the most fucked 3 months. I mean, if you took it and you compared it to a walk, okay, if you're just walking down the street, right? I am like 5 steps in a rake, whapam! And I'm like 10 steps and then another rake, whapam! I mean, it's almost comical. It's almost comical how just train wrecked this last few months have been. Now, I have to be careful. There are certain things that I cannot discuss, and the reason being is because social media, which this is shared upon, can be used against you at your job. Now, I'm not going to say there are difficulties. I'm just going to say there are challenges at my job right now. I could go in depth and probably produce an entire show on it, but who would listen? Well, a lot of people, because Opie and Anthony used to talk about their jobs all the time. Guys like Howard Stern used to talk about their jobs all the time. And on that subject, I just found out that Opie got fired from SiriusXM. So one of my favorite shows, both hosts of, have been fired, and now Jim Norton and Sam Roberts are doing the morning show. And it is god-awful. Jim Norton's a funny guy. Sam Roberts has his good points, but, I mean, that is just a weak-ass show. And Anthony, always been the talent behind the Opie and Anthony show. Opie, you know what? I am the Opie of Spreaker. When I think about it, I'm the Opie of Spreaker. What's up, Apocalypse? And Debbie Daly, Miss Daly, how you doing? How you doing, Miss Daly? Okay, so I am the Opie of Spreaker, and let me explain that. Of course, this is the Random Internet Radio Show, so I'm jumping from topic to topic as they come into my brain. I'll get back to my bullshit in a moment, but let me explain something. I know that the last few broadcasts I've been a little bit boring, and I've been a little bit dry, and I've been a little bit just tough to listen to. Well, fuck, dude. I lost like two very important people in the last 3 months. Difficulties at my job. I'm a fucking wreck. I mean, in fact, the last 4 years, I've been dealing with one thing after another. But I told myself that I am just going to... I'm going to finish this shit. However far it goes. I mean, bare minimum, I am going to record 500 hours of material. Bare minimum. Because that's the limit of my account. And I'm going to do whatever I can with that 500 hours because fuck, man. I really enjoy doing this shit. Apocalypse says, surprised you aren't a raging alcoholic at the moment. You know, I am too, honestly. Let me tell you about my weekend, okay? We're going to bring this back to me here because this is the Random Internet Radio Show and I'm fucking Alan Wayne, damn it. That basically was like saying, well, yeah, I'm Alan Wayne. I don't know if it's something to be proud of, but it's who I am. So let me tell you how my weekend went. Friday, I take work off. I got a little shit for it, but not much. I got shit for taking the previous Friday off for cleaning out my grandmother's apartment where I spent most of my weekends for like 8 years. And I hung out with my grandma and we had a great time. Every fucking thing in that place is a memory. It's an emotional drain. It's a blast to my system. And pardon me if I choose family. Just saying. You know, priorities, just gotta weigh them, you know? Well, what's more important? My family. My family's what's important. So, I don't get shit for that Friday, not very much. But go to the service, come home, help my wife and kids and only surviving grandmother. Well, I can't say that. I have my dad's mother is still alive. But the one that lives with me, I mean, she's more in close proximity, you know. So they pack and they leave for San Diego. Now, they said they were going to a wedding, but I am convinced that it was just to get away from my cranky ass. I am convinced They're like, hey, let's make up a wedding and let's leave this fucker alone. You know, and if he's alive when we get back, great. If not, well, at least he's insured. Anyway, no, they really had a wedding to go to. My sister-in-law was getting married, and she was, you know, it looked like a great ceremony, but I just didn't feel like going to a wedding. I mean, would you guys? Would you guys feel like going to a wedding? I just didn't want to be a cranky as fuck dude. Excuse me. Cough button. I didn't want to be that cranky as fuck dude who's sitting at the wedding where somebody is dedicating their life to somebody else, and I'm sitting there just surly as all fuck, just drinking, and even though drinking can kill me, I'd probably drink, and my kids would be there, and I'm just picturing this turning into one of those Lifetime movie moments where I completely ruin my sister-in-law's wedding. I'm not kidding. Like, I completely and utterly ruin my sister-in-law's wedding. To the point where it, like, I'm stumbling out into the street drunk, and I'm like looking up at the lights going, why, God, have you forsaken me? You know, I didn't want to make it like that. So I just stayed home. Got some stuff done around the house, got some chores and honeydews and some other stuff done. And I stayed home. Ate some really, really fattening food, which is always good. You know, because, I mean, what else can I do? I can't just get a hooker and go, you know, and go fuck a hooker. I can't do that. I can't, because I'm married, and that would break up the only thing that's keeping me sane, which is my family. Not to mention I love my wife, of course. I could, you know, I can't do any illicit drugs because I have a job. Can't do that. I can't, you know, do any of the self-destructive shit that I used to do when things like this happened. I can't, because my health would suffer. If I drank, I could die. Seriously, like when you're on some of these medications, you drink, it could kill you. So, I don't know how the science of it works, but it's just what I've been told. Drink, it could kill you. So, I stay away from the old alcohol. So what else do I have, really, except food? What else do I have? I don't have anything else. So I had myself some Hawaiian barbecue, and there you go. From the chat room, we have Daily Asking Hooker. Yes, there was a time when I was younger where I was into all of the sexual vices. I was a real piece of shit when it came to that. So that was part of my repertoire, and you know, that's how that went. When I got married, it was like, okay, never mind. Snake Pit, aka Darren, writes, a friend of mine stood up and told the bride and groom how dumb they were at a wedding once. Jesus. Okay, maybe I wouldn't have ruined it as badly as I thought I would have. I would just be a real surly mother. I'd be sitting there like, I'd be repeating the same shit like, hey, you know, you can't talk about my mother because she's dead. She's dead. And my grandma is dead. I might be losing my job. You know, and that would just be terrible because I'm making this whole thing about me, this whole wedding, which is my sister-in-law and her husband, my brother-in-law now, have been together for like something sick, like 8 years. And now they're just getting married, and it's like this whole thing. And the last thing I'd want to do is ruin that. So I stayed home. Did a bunch of stuff, ate a bunch of stuff, Didn't think about broadcasting once because I didn't feel like I could hang. I didn't feel like I could talk through anything. So I just, watched AHC. You guys ever watch that? AHC, American Heroes Channel? They were doing a whole thing on the Mafia. And I learned all about the Mafia. It was pretty cool. Lucky Luciano, Joe Colombo, the Mafia families of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, John Gotti, how he came to power. There was another guy by the name of Carmine. Damn it, what was his last name? Carmine. Well, he was like the super boss. So much so that people, that like his family could take 3 other families, but it was cool. So it was cool to watch that. I watched that while I'm doing stuff around the house. Kind of got chill. There it is, Gambino. Carmine Gambino. That dude, the fucking yes. Debbie wants to call in and talk about the Mafia. Debbie also doesn't remember her 20s. Everybody's kind of reminiscing in the chat room right now, talking about various different things, talking about what they did in the past and kind of just bringing it all back. Apocalypse says from 21 to 22, he doesn't think he had a night sober. Darren's having a cocktail now. Apocalypse saw Sammy the Bull of Gravano. Yes, the Gambino family equals Gotti. I think so, because after the old man passed away, yeah, Cosa Nostra. That's true. Yeah, a lot of stuff like that. Lucky Luciano Lucky Luciano was the shit. He actually helped the United States in World War II because the Mafia owned the shipping unions, the shipyard unions, and he actually said, you know what, you help me out, I'll get everything straightened out for you. So the mob actually had a hand in winning World War II. That was interesting. Darren says, my boss knew the Joe Pesci character in Casino. Worked with him. I've never met a mobster intentionally or unintentionally, thank God. But, yeah, they seem like pretty cool guys. You just got to stay on their good side. Don't disrespect them. Don't mess with them. Don't ever take a loan from them, because they'll shark your ass. The term Shylock loan was used more than once, and I think that's a super cool term. Shylock. I wonder if there's a band named Shylock. That'd be a cool band, Shylock. Now I'm just thinking out loud. So, I'm just thinking about where to go from here. So basically, I watched all about the Mafia. I kind of sat in my own depressed puddle of drool over the weekend. And, it was funny because I was expecting people to reach out, but a lot of people kept their distance because I don't think anybody I know has been through this kind of shit. They didn't know what to say. My wife didn't know what to say. My wife doesn't know what to say. She just kind of looks at me like June Carter looked at Johnny Cash in the Hurt video. Remember when he's sitting at the table and he's like pouring his wine all over everything? You can have it all. And she's just looking at him like, oh my God, I feel so bad for this guy. Like, so sad. Like, she does not know what to tell me to make me feel better. And I don't blame her. I don't know what to do to make me feel better. I don't know what to do to make me feel better. I don't know What's going to break me out of it? The only thing I can think of is if I keep going on this microphone, eventually it'll work like therapy, because that was brought up to me too, was therapy. Should I go to therapy? I went to therapy when I was a kid. That's what happens when your father's a drug addict. I went to therapy when I was a kid. And when my father passed, and I'm talking about the man who gave his sperm to my mom, I'm not talking about my dad. But when he passed, I was okay with it. I cried for like 5 minutes. I was 11 years old. Cried like a baby. I cried for like 5 minutes, and I think I thought to myself, wait a minute, this guy's a fucking piece of shit. Oh, what am I doing? The counselor was some, liberal arts motherfucker who thought I needed to grieve and was like, you need to feel grief. So I'm like, okay, how do I do this? How do I feel grief? And so started this people-pleasing pattern that continues to this very day. I can pinpoint it right to the moment where I was like, wait a minute, maybe the way I'm going is not the way to go, and I should go somewhere else. I should go another way. And that is where that began. You've seen it on Spreaker. I get advice from everybody, because if there's one thing that everybody agree on, it's that I have some sort of talent at this, is that I can do this. But everybody has their own, and it's well-intentioned advice. Folks like Debbie, who's really successful on this platform, Debbie Daly, and other folks, Apocalypse has given me advice. Guy Shea's given me a ton of advice. By the way, Guy Shea, in case you haven't heard, or in case you're just joining us, he was ill today, so he's been liquidating out of both ends of himself. So he couldn't do a Rage Live show. But that is coming. We are going to be doing a Rage Live show pretty soon. So Debbie says, Darren just got some amazing information from me. Boy, isn't that a tease? Debbie, you are such a tease. Why you got to be that way? Why you got to tease all these men? Tease them with information, and they're just like, come on, tell us. She is the queen of the tease. And that's not a bad thing. In radio, the tease is so important. You have to keep people around past the commercial breaks and the bullshit. You have to keep people listening throughout other things that they may not want to listen to. You have to keep people around. So the tease is actually very, very important. So, man. But what a 3 months. What a 3 months. I cannot even fathom. Debbie says you have to keep it real. I'm keeping it real right now. This is about as real as I can get. This frustration. Debbie says, I don't take the death of others personally. Turn your eyes outward, she says. You have to look at it from the outside in, I suppose. Look at it from outside of your own body. Have an out-of-body experience, I think is what Debbie is saying. Don't make it be about you. Well, it's kind of hard. It is about them. Okay, you got to explain that to me. And explain it in chat, because Debbie's saying, don't make it about you, it is about them. Grieving is all about the people around the dead. The dead are dead. They don't know any better. They might be spirits. They're going to be spirits, but they don't know what's going on. They don't know, they don't know what is happening other than being on a spiritual realm. She says, they died, you didn't. Don't take it personally. Now, I'm not angry that both of them died. I'm not angry that they both passed away. I'm hurt, but I'm not angry. And I know they're listening right now, and they're probably rolling their eyes every time I use a curse word. That was kind of one of the things that was going on, was that I was having trouble with all of that. Now, Debbie's saying you're still using too many I and me words. Well, it's hard for me at this moment to look outside of myself, because what is going on with me is like all encompassing to me right now. Darren writes, I hope she isn't bored with this show. Oh my gosh. Darren, are you bored with this show? Because if you are, I can use some help, certainly. Livening up the show. Folks, I try to be interesting. But, sometimes it doesn't work that way. I'm still working on it. But, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to play a couple of things. And when we come back, maybe we'll have somebody on Skype who can talk with me here and try to help me. And I do appreciate it. We're going to see if I can't get some help for this whole show. So we'll be right back here on the Random Internet Radio Show. Don't go away. Here's what radio legend Poor Man had to say about the Random Internet Radio Show. And you're a Los Angeles radio legend, man. Thank you, Poor Man. I do appreciate you coming on.
You are the legend, Alan. This is the greatest moment in my career to be on the Random Internet Radio Show. I thought I had achieved great things before, but this is number one in my career. Number one!
The Random Internet Radio Show live every Saturday night at 6 p.m. Pacific on Spreaker.com. And now, ladies and gentlemen, a public service announcement from the one and only Poor Man.
Yes, for all the executives at Entercom, you want your next PD to make big ratings and take the station to number one, the crown jewel in your empire. Hire me as PD. And also because I'm broke.
Poor Man just recently had a birthday. And he turned like ancient. Okay, so on the line pretty soon, we're going to have the Miss Debbie Daly. Look like I'm going to try and call her here and try to patch her through. So if you'll just stand by with me for a moment, I am going to hit that little phony there. Oh, she got her mobile number. Nice. Then again, she'll have my number, and that might be scary. Let's see if this all works out. Debbie. Howdy. My, what big eyes you have. Here are those. Oh, you got her. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I have... Okay, are you coming through? Let's see. Oh, okay. I gotta fix my Skype here. Stand by. It's probably a thing that. Let's see here. Okay, I gotta do the virtual cable here, so bear with me just a second. Oh boy, where did it go? Okay, connect to Skype. There we go. Okay, let's see. Spreaker Studio is really cool. It's a little bit glitchy at times, but it has that Skype connectivity, which is really, really nice. So my computer's just really, really slow at the moment. So I'm trying to get this whole thing connected. Let me see. Hold on. Conversation. Man, what? This is exactly like my week. Okay, it's loading the Skype tutorial. This is brand new. I have the Spreaker app. I do. It's just I didn't connect it correctly. Like something happened and I didn't connect it correctly. I know. I'm working on that click. I am actually. I'm back live. And let's see. Okay, we have the VB cable. Let's see. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's see. Okay, it has the tutorial here, and it says to speakers volume. Okay, speakers. Okay, got this. Okay, let's see. Hold on. No, I can't. Damn it! I am so sorry, Debbie. I thought I had this all like set up. I can hear you. I can. Okay, let me. I got. Let's see. Okay, cable input. Okay, cable input, virtual cable. Okay, now I'm back there, and cable input cable, and then save, and then. Opening new things. This may take a few minutes. Okay. Let's see.
Stop clicking it.
Hey, there you are. Okay, I got you hooked up.
Hello, testing 1 2 3 4. Sound check. Sound back in 3 2 1.
I got you, Debbie.
Wait a second.
Okay. It's gonna take a few minutes. Okay. Let's see.
Stop clicking it.
Hey, there you are. Okay, I got you hooked up.
Hello, testing 1. All right, let's talk some shit. Okay, what's going on,
All
baby?
right.
Big A.
Show is now less boring. We hear you perfect. Okay, so, wow, Darren says that my show's boring. Was it boring? Has it been boring?
Don't pay any attention to what other people say.
Okay,
No.
so
Especially
ignore Darren.
Yeah. No, not ignore Darren, but he's just being a goofy head. He's a troll.
Yeah, he says he thinks he's becoming a troll.
He's a good troll. He's a very soft troll, and that's the best troll to be.
Soft trolls, huh? Explain what a soft troll is as opposed to a hard troll.
Well, a soft troll, Darren, somebody that very softly trolls you without you really even realizing that he's trolling you.
Oh, so a passive-aggressive troll.
Well, basically passive-aggressive personality, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I'd say that. I mean, in order to be really passive-aggressive, you have to be very soft and very kind of around the bush so that the person doesn't understand what you're doing.
Fly like a butterfly and sting like a bee.
There you go. So can you believe Guy called out tonight?
I do. Guy
Damn
is
it.
Guy's Guy, dude. He's the guy. He's the final boss of Spreaker.
Damn it. Yes. And he asked me, so when are we doing something? And I'm like, dude, now. I don't have anything, really in the hopper. That Random Bites thing went to iHeartRadio. But, so far mixed results, But
Yeah, Heart Radio was on its deathbed anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it was a goal. It was something I wanted to attain, and it was a goal, and I got there, so I'm happy about that. So what do you know about the Mafia, Debbie?
What do I not know about the Mafia?
Jesus Christ. Okay. Well, could Reader's Digest version The Mafia? Is it, from what I understand, the 5 families were founded by Lucky Luciano or something like that. Became organized in the 20s because of Prohibition, and it went from there. What do you know?
Well, the one that I know the most about is the Gambino family, because I believe that they're the most talked about. They're the most publicized. They're the most, and Gotti pretty much ran him in the ground when he became a celebrity in New York.
That's right. That's exactly what the program was saying, that he came out being like this guy, in sharp suits, and every time somebody in the mob starts to show off, it goes bad. So
yeah, because they don't like that. They like to stay very low key.
Yes. Yes. Carmine Gambino was low key.
Salvatore, the one they called Tito,
Yeah.
he's the one that formed alliances with the other mafia bosses and took down the weaker ones, absorbing their rackets, absorbing
Nice.
their businesses. And the more rackets you control, the more. Basically, what I've always seen the mafia as is just like normal men that don't pay taxes. That's all it is. They fucking pay. I mean, if you think about it, that's what they do.
Normal men that don't play, what did you say, checkers?
No, normal men that refuse to pay taxes. They
refuse.
If you think about it, if you really think about it, that's exactly what's going on. And they are the kind of men that when you fuck them around, they take care of business, which I think all men would do if they could get away with it. The mafia just gets away with it because nobody knows about it. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's true. And the mafioso around who got, what's the word I'm looking for? The ones who basically got popped or whatever, they were the ones who were the show-offs, and they couldn't handle their business, and they brought light to the mafia. Have you ever heard of Joe Colombo?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, Joe Colombo, that guy I never heard of, founded the Italian immigrants movement, and it was all a racket. I couldn't help but compare it to today's times and think, wow, aren't a couple of guys like Reverend Al Sharpton, making a little bit of money like that? Founding a group based on kindness, so they say, but just like making millions of dollars.
Well, the biggest mistake you can make at a crime family is not following the rules. You have to know the rules. There are strict rules, very strict rules. You don't do this, you do this, you don't do this, you do this. And when you break the rules, bingo bango, there's no room for forgiveness.
Yeah, you don't take on the federal government like Joe Colombo did. He kept trying to say that like the federal government was screwing over the Italians.
Yep.
Oh man. And it reminded me a lot of these Black Lives Matter movements. It reminded me a lot of these minority groups. You got to think somebody's profiteering from the top, kind of like Colombo was.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Gambino family that's who was known as Cosa Nostra. They were the Italians, and they were the serious ones. That's who they did the story of the Godfather about. Yeah,
and did you know that Colombo actually was the one who helped get the Godfather made? But he only had it was like on one condition, that they didn't mention Cosa Nostra.
Exactly. Bingo.
Because in the book.
You do know more than I thought you did, but yeah, it's actually the song that, da 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 da, that actually came from one of the Godfather's father-in-law actually created that song back when they lived in Italy. He made it up on a violin.
I'll be damned.
I know, and everybody thinks it was made by some guy and producer in Hollywood or some music man. No, that's an old song that came from way back in the Cosa Nostra family when they were in Italy.
Wow.
And when they came over here, they thought this is bullshit the way they're, because the IRS is basically an illegal organization in the United States. It's illegal.
Really?
It's not federal. It is illegal. And there is no way in the federal tax codes anywhere does it say that we have to pay taxes. It's just something that we do because they don't answer to anybody. And that was the beginning of the Gambino family, was fuck the IRS. We're not doing this. And they knew that no matter what they did, the IRS was going to clamp down on them and take half their money.
Damn.
And, there's only so you can make money behind the IRS's back. But John Gotti, the 7 years that he was sitting Godfather, he spent something like 70% of that time in court for fucking up.
Jesus. Hey, little trivia. How did Gotti come to power?
Gotti came to power by the way of killing the other Godfather.
That's right. That is right. And was Gotti a made man at that time or no? He wasn't. He was low level. There's
a way. The only way I know it is when they introduce you as this is a friend of ours versus this is a friend of mine. And I believed at the time he was a friend of ours. I don't think he was a made man though.
No,
but he actually
wasn't.
He killed the Godfather.
He had the hit put out. He was sitting in a vehicle across the street, and he watched the hit be put out. And with Sammy the Bull Gravano. Now, do you know what? Sammy
the Bull turned state's evidence, and still to this very day that we're speaking right now is in the witness protection program.
Yeah, but here's the thing about Sammy the Bull Gravano. You know why he turned state's evidence?
Not necessarily. Why? I mean, why?
This stuff is fresh in my mind because that's all I did this weekend was watch Mafia programming. Sammy the Bull Gravano heard because they had everything wiretapped for John Gotti. They put bugs everywhere.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. They had everything wiretapped.
And he heard Gotti talking shit.
Yes, and Sammy had killed how many? 39 people.
Tons of people. He admitted to 16 murders, but there were more.
Oh God, yes.
And he was wide open about it. He's like, I killed this guy, I killed that guy, I did this, I did that. But he broke the whole mafia wide open. And
yes. And he was that was a bold freaking move, man. I couldn't believe he did that. I could not believe he did that.
Well, I mean, okay. Basically, Gotti was the godfather of the crime. Mafia wasn't running, very well, and not a lot of people liked Gotti at the time, except for the people who were outside the mafia who loved Gotti because he was a celebrity. Because people are stupid. They love celebrities, and they have no reason why.
I think there's something attractive about the mafia to certain people because it's not. I mean, I know people think that mobsters, and I hate to call them they hate when you call them mobsters. I just think that people that are in these crime families, they think that all they do is kill their families and their children and anybody they can get their hands on. No, they don't. They're very, very dedicated men, but they're dedicated. You gotta follow the goddamn rules. And I think that life should be like that. I think that family should come first, and you've got to pay. You've got to do the rules. And if you don't, I mean, what they do is a little bit drastic. And if you come against them and you screw their family around, you're going to get what you have. They don't put it in the police, which you're going to sit on in prison for years and years and years. They just take care of business right there, boom, and you're gone.
That's right. And they have.
I think there's something to be respected about that, almost, Alan. I mean that too.
Wait a minute. Okay. Back up. I get you with the family thing. I really do. I understand that. I would do anything for my family. However,
but here's the thing, Alan. Family is not just who you're related to. You've got family in your life that you would do anything for that aren't related to you. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's true. This is true.
Because there's certain crime families out there that will bring even somebody like you in if they feel that you are a good person, and you have to be. They're basically, and I know this is going to sound really weird to a lot of people that don't understand the crime families, but they're basically good people. They really are. And I know you're going, what the fuck? They're very loyal.
No, I get that.
They will not let somebody lose a mortgage. They will not let somebody lose this. They are there for their people, and it doesn't matter if your last name is Gambino or Gotti or whatever.
I get that because these guys, I understand where you're coming from, and I come with you. These guys, they would make money off of people like the Shylock loans I talked about. They'd make money off of the people who were desperate and things like that, but they wouldn't screw over their own family like that. It was just other people, and that it was just to them. That's the way, that's kind of a melding of the two lives, like a Shylock loan, because you're helping somebody out. Like, say they lost a bunch of money and they need to have it back for something for their house. Well, you could go to the mafia. They'll loan to you, but they'll loan to you at 25% interest. But
unless you're in the family, you're in the family. Now,
it's a favor.
John Gotti, there's also things that happen that you don't know are going to happen. And I mean that because, for example, when John Gotti's little boy got ran over by that neighbor.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And some of the soldiers went and killed him, beat the fuck out of him, and then shot him in the head. And he didn't even know that was going to happen. I think that a lot of that happens in real life, in other situations. Like, for example, now stay with me. When John F. Kennedy was assassinated, he was assassinated.
Here we go.
Well, no, now listen to me. He was assassinated by the mafia. That's a fact, okay? Now, there were other people that wanted him assassinated that were up in upper federal government. They hated him. But then nobody knew this was going to happen, and they took care of it. It was under the instruction of the Chicago mob.
Okay.
And you know what I'm saying? Nobody
Yeah.
knew that. What the fuck? When that happened, they said, son of a bitch. They were like going, oh my God. Even LBJ was like, I mean, not LBJ, but, well, yeah, Lyndon Baines Johnson was like, what the fuck? Well, I guess that ends that problem.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
president
So
now.
mafia can take care of something that needs to be taken care of that even is not ordered. Now, there are a lot of ordered hits that you know about. I'm not that you know that as you know, there's ordered hits, but there's some hits that take place that are just, we got to clean up this mess. You know
And
what I'm
John
saying?
F. Kennedy was a mess.
Exactly. John F. Kennedy had pissed everybody off. Everybody hated John F. Kennedy. Not the citizens. They loved him. Although what he was trying to do was for the better of the country, it wasn't better for the fucking government. Am I over talking you too much?
No. I'm listening, and I'm kind of gaining knowledge on it. It just makes me want to ask you more questions about it. So
Yeah,
John, okay, sorry.
I can answer anything. I've heard people in my real life say that Debbie could write a book on the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Because
You
I've
should
done
do it. It's so easy to publish.
I don't want to make money off of his death because it was a sad deal that's very close to me.
Yeah. So JFK. JFK, you say he pissed off a bunch of people. Was it that he was sending his brother Robert after mafia, or was it something more, something else?
John F. Kennedy had pissed off. He hated Hoover. He hated the FBI. He hated the CIA. He fired Allen Dulles for what they did in the Bay of Pigs. They went behind his fucking back and did what they did. And because the CIA answers to nobody. Okay,
Right. Mm-hmm.
They answer to nobody. And John F. Kennedy said, "The fuck you don't. You will answer to me, bitch." And he fired Allen Dulles. So the CIA hated him. The CIA could have very easily. Hold on just a second. Rusty wants to come on. Let me see what he says. Hold on.
Who's Rusty?
He's a guy that I like. He's real cool.
Okay.
We're talking JFK and that stuff.
Because I've never gone down the JFK road with you. Never have.
Hold on just a second. He's pretty cool to talk to. Hold on. I'll see if I'm going to add him in. All right. I'm going to add Rusty. Do you want Rusty to come in?
Sure.
He says, add me in.
Sure. Let me see.
Let's see. We can always unadd him.
Yeah,
Rusty,
you go.
cool as fuck. I don't know how much he wants me to tell you, but I'll let you tell him. I'll let him tell you. Rusty.
Hey, Rusty.
He's coming. Hold on. Rusty? Pick up, you doorknob. Oh, he's probably getting his headset together. He is 6'8". Can you believe that? This guy is 6'8", and he just was going to get in with the what is the like the private armies, like Blackwater and stuff like that.
Oh, those are security firms.
Exactly. He was
Right.
going to do that, and then he changed his mind. So We'll see.
Cool.
maybe he won't pick up. I don't know. He said, "Add me in." Rusty.
Hello.
Damn, that's a bass voice, man. What's up,
Yeah.
Rusty?
Howdy.
Meet
Okay.
Alan. Alan.
Nice to meet you, Rusty. Welcome
Nice to
aboard.
meet you.
Okay, so what we're doing is we're on my show, the Random Internet Radio Show, and we're talking the JFK assassination. And I've heard of the legend of Debbie Daly's JFK assassination shows, but I've never actually been a part of one or listened to one. And she said that you'd be a good guest to have on, so welcome aboard.
Alrighty.
So,
Hey, Rusty.
what are your thoughts, sir, on this whole JFK situation that occurred?
I think there was obviously there was definitely more than one shooter. Like, if you look at everything that went down, there was more than obviously one shooter. I think Lee Harvey Oswald was one of them, but to deny that he was the only one, or to deny that he was not the only one is fucking stupid.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Lee Harvey Oswald was a sniper. Was he a patsy, or was he somebody who was just at the, like, were there multiple people who just decided to kill Kennedy at the same time on the same day?
No, that definitely was organized.
Okay, like it was a coincidence. I was thinking about, I'm like, Man, okay, so Oswald is on this side of the coin, but if you're talking about mafia involvement, would they be involved with someone like Oswald? So what
No.
are the odds of two
No.
different organizations?
I don't think the mafia had anything to do with it.
Hey. The CIA was involved hand in hand with the mafia who set Oswald up starting in 1959 as the patsy. They knew they had to do that. When Oswald was being interviewed in the Dallas City jail, he looked up, and if you'll notice his eyes, look over to the left, and he sees Jack Ruby, and he says, "Patsy." He knew at that fucking moment he was screwed. He knew it when he saw Jack.
I'm not disagreeing that he's a patsy, but like I said, I don't know anything about the mafia deal, but I think it's organized, and I think that Lyndon B. Johnson was a part of it. I think a lot of it just kind of toppled down as a domino effect. I mean,
damn. So you're saying
I'd have to pull up a lot of shit to be able to sit here and explain like absolutely all my thoughts, because I've got a lot of it like kind of written down. I don't know. I kind of get into this shit. I'm not like a conspiracy nut, but that's one of the things that kind of always caught my interest. My father was a homicide detective, so that was one of the things him and I would always talk about. And he even said the same thing. He was like, if you look at this, there's no way that man was the only shooter.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've seen the trajectory of the bullets, and they would have to be there would have to be way too much that goes against the laws of physics in order for those bullets to go the way they did.
Exactly.
So
Well, I believe what that one funny comedian said that's since died. I think Hicks. What was his name?
Bill Hicks.
Bill Hicks says, it's funny that they say that it came from, he goes, 175 people run through the grassy knoll, but no, it came from that direction. And it's funny to see when he kind of knew too much and he had to disappear too. People that know too much disappear. You know what I mean?
Damn. Wow. So Debbie, have you had any ideas now? Like, you got your show, you got a lot of listeners and everything, but Bill Hicks was known by millions of people. Have you ever been under surveillance or had any moments where you've done a show and like the next few days you notice things are a little different?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Especially being in Dallas. I've had my own family tell me to shut the fuck up.
Really?
And I'm never going to shut the fuck up because I think what happened to John F. Kennedy was sad. I think it was sad the way it went down. I mean, they brutally blew that man's head off in front of everybody, and I think it was very sad.
Yeah, in front of Jackie Onassis.
Yeah, don't let Curtis talk about that. But yeah.
Well, yeah, Curtis. Okay, explain Curtis to me. I spoke to him that one time, and he seemed like a very down home type of guy, kind of a personality, kind of a character. But what's his deal with Jackie O?
Just somebody he's obsessed with.
Now, I know, yeah, she was, okay, I had a girlfriend, and I'm not saying anything about Kurt Green, but I had a girlfriend who was obsessed with Jackie Onassis to that level.
Really? I never get obsessed with women. I don't get obsessed with anybody. I just think that what happened... What, dear?
I've got everything pulled up now that I can kind of go into the JFK
Holy
thing.
shit, dude. All right, go. I want to hear this. I'm excited.
Okay, so here's my whole thing. The reason why I think Lyndon B. Johnson and the CIA were involved was because, if you look into it, Lyndon B. Johnson doubled down in Vietnam, okay? And they bought all these helicopters and all these bombs. Well, Lyndon B. Johnson's wife was the main stockholder of the company that they were buying all this shit from, okay? So, just saying, kind of put two and two together.
So you're making a connection, the same connection that could be made with Dick Cheney and war on Iraq. Is that right? Only on a different scale. Because Dick Cheney owned or had stock in Halliburton, and Halliburton stood to profit from the rebuilding of Iraq.
Well,
And not even just that. I mean, look at the Bush family and their involvement with the Saudis.
The entire military-industrial complex stood to make billions off of Vietnam, which they did. Every helicopter that went down was $4 million. And Dwight D. Eisenhower warned secretly in his final speech, be careful of the power of the military-industrial complex. And you won't ever know how deep. He was knee-deep. He was neck-deep in the MIC. Lyndon Baines Johnson's was. He actually was on the Senate. He was the Senate Majority Leader that declared in 1958 that what they were doing to the oil, and he was also involved in big oil in Texas. He went on and rallied for these people.
Jeez.
He was in their back pockets, and so he had what Rusty is saying is very true. Lyndon Baines Johnson had an enormous interest in the MIC. Enormous.
Wow.
Well, if you want to go into Dwight Eisenhower, let's talk about General Patton and the comments he made about the Nazis and how, if it was his choice, he would have fought the communists and then took care of the Nazis. That's something else we're going to look at too, and how everything went down with the Japanese.
Well, yeah, Patton had his own stake for sure. He wanted to, was it Rommel that wanted to continue through North Africa and was told to stop? Which one was it?
I think it was Patton.
Because he wanted to go past Italy, go through Northern Africa, and go pretty much into the Middle East, if I'm not mistaken. I'm
not sure.
Yeah, and he was told to stop where he was, I think in Algiers or Algeria, and he was kind of like pissed off about that, but what can you do?
I mean, the military-industrial complex really had its peak at World War II. Not peak, but that's when it became huge.
But here's what he said, okay? He said, and I quote, "In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex." That was from Eisenhower's speech that he gave the day Kennedy took office. "We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or the democratic process, and take nothing for granted." What he was saying is he knew what was fixing to happen with Lyndon Baines Johnson, because Lyndon Baines Johnson was a hungry bastard. And he knew that he wanted to put money in the pockets of his homeboys. That's a fact. That's a fucking fact.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is Dwight Eisenhower took in his final speech, upon leaving office, he said to basically protect against the military-industrial complex. Is that similar to like a coup? Like the military taking over the country?
I think he's referring to private military.
No. What he's referring to is the military-industrialized complex. Let's say Rusty owns Rusty.
That's what I mean by private military.
Oh, okay.
That includes everything under the sun, whether it be ammo or anything else. So that includes all that.
We were compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions, is what he said. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women engaged currently in defense establishment. We spend on military security more than the net income of all United States corporations in the year 1960. That's when he said that. So he knew that this was going to take over our decisions as a government.
Damn. Okay.
Well, that's because I think a large part of that was also, because of what he saw after, because he was alive during, World War I and everything. I think he saw what happened with the League of Nations, and he was like, "Oh shit, dude! This time they're going to be looking to us for protection," and he knew that's what was going to happen. I mean, look at the UN being a perfect example today with NATO.
Okay, so let's take this back a few years to World War II, and it got my mind thinking about this whole complex and everything else. Pearl Harbor. There's no way that we were going to, if I recall my history, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe, now keep in mind, I've been taught in the public schools and I've been taught the public rhetoric. So my mind is not as schooled as yours in these facts and details. But all I know is that we did not enter the war until Pearl Harbor.
Yep.
My mind is really cranking here. Is it possible that now Japan, they wanted to show they had big balls, right? So they attacked Pearl Harbor. But could there be something else behind that with all of this thought? What's that?
I'm not versed in World War II. I could say what I think.
Right, so there was a lot of embargoes and shit that went down because of obviously corporate interests.
Yeah.
That pissed off the Japs really bad. and then it went on from there because a lot of the big thing. Now, I want to before I go on with everything that I've been saying, I want to clarify: I'm not a Nazi by any means. Wholehearted capitalist. I love America. Just want to clarify. But going into what I was going to say, a big thing that a lot of Americans don't want to talk about, especially the older generation, is the fact that Hitler was talking to the U.S. about becoming allies and fighting Russia before all this was said and done.
Damn, can you imagine that? But okay, we all know, and I feel I have to, in day and age, put out a disclaimer that I am not a Nazi either, that I am not a pro white supremacy. I'm not one of those people.
Well, you know what Hitler said about us, right? Like, there's a reason why he was trying to get all buddy-buddy with us at first.
I have no clue.
It's because he made the comment himself, we should not wake that sleeping giant.
You sure that wasn't Japan? I thought I heard the same thing about Japan.
I'm pretty sure a lot of those countries all said that. They were like, we shouldn't fuck with that.
That it was Emperor Hirohito. Was it Emperor? Was Tojo the emperor was Hirohito, Tojo was the prime minister. And I think Hirohito did not want any of this. I don't think he wanted any of this. And I think Tojo was the one, even though he's the prime minister, emperors, they're figureheads. So I think it was Tojo's idea to go after United States. And I think it was Emperor Hirohito who said that you do not wake a sleeping giant. That's the way I remember it. But yeah, I don't think we... Okay, so this is getting my mind spinning in many different directions, and I want to thank you for that. I love expanding my mind. So, Rusty, I want to ask you this. Honest answer. Does America need to be at war to be successful?
Currently, yeah. I mean, let's be honest. We rely so much on it. We really do.
The only way
destroy so many jobs.
It's the only way we make a lot of money. I mean, if you want to bring the country back from impoverished situation, you go to war because that's where the money comes rolling. Because obviously, if Rusty owned Rusty's uniforms and I owned Debbie's helicopters and you owned Alan's B1, F-16 fighter, you're going to make a lot of fucking money, and so is a lot of other people. And if we're not at war, we're just going to go off of our own, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
That's the problem with modernization is the countries like ours, we start to rely a lot more on services, service economy rather than a goods-based economy. Does it make any sense?
I have to go to the chat room because Barco is gold in the chat room. He says, I'd like the record to reflect that while not currently a Nazi, I am open to overtures from anyone interested in having me as a part of their organization. Which is funny because it's like complete mercenary. He's like, yeah, man, I'll be a white supremacist. Sure, I hate all those people. So
Barco is brilliant. I would love to talk to Barco, but he's too fucking weird to talk to.
The thing of it is some people are great.
Love Barco. You would love Barco, Rusty. He's real intelligent. He knows everything.
People are great. Some people are great behind a keyboard, and some people are great behind a microphone. Barco is extraordinary behind a keyboard. When he gets behind a microphone, and this is no offense, he gets a little flustered verbally. But behind a keyboard, he is golden.
Here's the thing with Barco. You can tell he's got a mind that is somewhat similar to mine on a much higher level. His is because you can hear his mind going 90 miles an hour, and that's the sign of a brilliant, a Rain Man almost. He sits there and goes, well, now, I talked about, so I need to do, okay, Alan, are you there? Alan, Rusty, what's going on? And he's just going up in 90 fucking thousand directions. But that is the mind of a brilliant person right there. It's one that's going just boom, 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 just synopsis or just going like that with them. And I'm not talking about off of speed or off of coke. I'm talking his mind just goes like that all the time. That's a brilliant mind, and he just needs to realize that and settle the fuck down. I'm joking.
I think Barco takes drugs to settle down. I think Barco takes drugs to lighten the load of his mind.
Yeah, I can fucking imagine.
I think, yeah.
Rusty's the same way. Rusty is brilliant. And tell him how old you are, Rusty.
I'm 22.
Jesus Christ, you sound like you are a full-grown man, sir, and you're 22 years old. Here I am still sounding sort of like a teenager. That is something, man. 22 and 6'8".
22.
Yeah.
Most of these kids nowadays are just like, hey, man, I played a whole lot of Xbox today and ate some Cheetos. This kid is trying to conquer the world right now. That's why he's a part of me. Part of me. He's a part of my... I'm serious. He is. He's brilliant. I like the fuck out of him. But when he comes on, a lot of people get sort of inferior. They feel inferior and they start attacking him, and he's just like, it just becomes clusterfuck.
I have no issue with that. I have no issue with somebody who is trying to expand my mind. I like to take in information. I don't get intimidated by anybody.
Well, the reason I need to explain something. The reason I said what I said to you earlier is because this guy was on here going, hey, man, my grandmother died last week and my mother died and I'm feeling like shit. I'm like, fuck, come on, Alan. Let's talk about something. So I told Rusty, so we got to shake this guy up. He goes, let me on with him. I was like, no, not in that way, because Rusty can be brutal if he wants to. But Alan's a friend of mine, but we got to get him some fire under him. You know what I mean? That's all I meant, Rusty. So sorry.
Well, okay. As far as radio goes, as far as sitting in front of the microphone goes, I know that I have talent in that. It's just a matter of putting it, making people interested. That is my issue. He's on iHeartRadio, Rusty. The reason I got on iHeartRadio is because I had topical stuff and I have production skill, and I was able to do it without music. So those are the three things. I was surprised that I got on iHeartRadio. But the main thing is that I was talking about Opie. You familiar with Opie and Anthony, Debbie? I'm sure you are.
Yeah, a little bit. They're kind of a treehouse, though. I don't really have much to do with them.
Yeah, but Opie got fired from Sirius. And it got me thinking, and I've been listening to the archives, and dude, I am Opie. I am Greg Hughes. I am the guy who has a somewhat decent radio voice. I can talk. I can keep a conversation going, but I'm not at all interesting. That's the one key that I need to focus on. That's just being real.
I called in to save you because you were just whining and being a bitch, and I was like, "No, fuck that. We got to do something. You
know what?
I don't know. I will.
Yeah.
What, you just gotta find something in life and just show at it.
Your fucking passion and mine.
I'm already naturally just high energy as fuck. That's why I smoke weed. But I mean, some people just aren't. I don't know if you are, but if you're not, you just gotta find something to get you excited as fuck.
See, and that's the thing.
You gotta be like Alex Jones and just be like, "There's chemicals in the water. It's making the freaking frogs gay."
Exactly, and that would be the mafia. He's into the mafia. He likes the fuck out of that stuff, and he knows.
I'm into the mafia, the occult, all of that type of stuff. But there are so many different things that I can talk about. Darren says sports radio. That's what I was tagged in when I went to school.
It's a snoozer. Who cares?
That's what I was tagged on when I went to school. It was sports radio because I was being mentored by a sports radio host. And he said, you should do sports radio because it's topical. Every day there's a brand new thing to talk about. It's the easiest paycheck in radio. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not interested in talking about sports for an hour or two. I really am not. I'm more of a fan.
Rusty, would you agree with the following statement? This country, for the past 100 years, has been fooling the country. They're the sweetest country in the world, and we are probably one of the most ruthless. If you talk about the military-industrialized complex versus the military versus the CIA versus the gun, would you not believe that we're just as ruthless, if not more, than any other country in the world?
Yeah.
See, there you go.
Well, it depends on your perspective. I mean, to some people in various Middle Eastern countries, we're invaders. We're monsters and infidels. We're terrible to those people, and we say that we are. They're just jealous of our democratic lifestyle. No, they're not. They're not jealous of that. We just came into their country and butt fucked them. That's what they don't like. Because Rusty, these people
have a democratic lifestyle, Rusty.
I actually met a guy from Iraq, and he, I'm not going to say any names, but he lived there during the Saddam reign, and he even told me straight up, he was like, I shot U.S. soldiers. He said, I was a part of the Saddam's army, and he said, because I believed in my country, and I was like, well, I mean, I can't really get mad at that. I was like, if you love your country, you love your country, fuck it. I was like, I get it. I love America. Like, I completely understand, dude. I was like, well, even though you and I are on different sides, like, I get it. And he was telling me all about how, like, now he's fighting ISIS and all kinds of crazy shit. This is a huge motherfucker. I mean, I'm big, but this guy is big. And he was telling me how he, like, you know, the special forces go over there and train them and all kinds of shit now because obviously their government's gone to hell. It's crazy, man, because, like, back in the day it seemed like we had a legitimate reason, but now it's kind of like, well, fuck, it seems like Saddam and all these other guys are the only ones keeping them in check.
Yeah, that's true, because if you look at these Middle Eastern countries, you have these microcosms of society in these Middle Eastern countries and other countries to a certain degree, and these people who we view as evil and tyrannical and everything else. Well, I've always had the theory that, you know what, if you've been brought up in that, you don't know any better. You don't know any better. You don't know that there's another way to do things. And we as Americans think our way is the best. So we try to go out and spread that love all over the world. And these other people, you know, some of them, a good amount of them love democracy, love the capitalist society and the idea that you can make as much money as you want. But at the same time, there's a flip side to that. You can also fail heavily in these societies. It's a gamble. Being a capitalist society is a gamble. And the thing about having a dictator like Saddam Hussein is you always know which way you're going to be. If you're poor, if you're rich, if you're poor, you know you can depend stability. That's what it is. In a capitalist society, you do not know if you're going to lose your job the next day.
Well, it's not even just that, but I mean, what the guy said some shit that honestly really made me think, and he was telling me, he was like, dude, my country was not like what you guys see now. He was like, when Saddam was in power, he was like, our country was actually really nice, blah, blah, blah. He was like, he told me about the Taliban because they were around, obviously, because of the 80s and all that shit. He was like, but they didn't fuck around like that. He was like, because they knew that Saddam's army would come and fuck them up. And he was like, now that we don't have Saddam and, you know, the army and all that, he was like, our country's just kind of in disarray.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, if you think about it as father figures, that's what these guys are. That's why I think that everybody, like foreign leaders, I think they respect Donald Trump. I think except for like in some European countries where they feel like they're having this kind of renaissance of thought, I think that a lot of the older school leaders look at Trump and go, damn, that's a straight up G. That's a guy that he's the same type of build as we are. He wants to be father of the country. And that's what these other guys want, or these other guys are, is they're fathers of their nation, and they're stern fathers. You kind of follow what I say?
Oh yeah, wholeheartedly. And you know, like I said, even though I don't agree with Islam at all. Like I don't think, you know, genocide is also correct. But if it were my choice, it would be if you're Muslim and you're from the Middle East, dude. Like, sorry, you're not coming in. Period.
Well, Donald Trump. The funny thing is that Donald Trump gets cast as this great villain, right? What has he said against gay people? Against homosexuals? He hadn't said a thing. What has he said against...
The only thing that he said that about gay people, like during his election, was, I don't care. It's up. If it were up to me, it would be up to the state. And that's all he said.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, it turns out that Donald Trump is anti-gay. Donald Trump being anti-women. That is a crock of shit, because Donald Trump hires more women than any other president that I can think of.
Yep.
And Trump... He just seems to, you know, he has this idea of what he wants America to be. And yeah, does he tweet? Yes. Why does he tweet? Because he doesn't trust the media. I don't disagree with that.
Dude, I just saw 5 articles on my Facebook page from 5 different sources talking about how he looked at the eclipse and like how it was such a big deal apparently.
I swear, this guy's got the cult of personality going. He's got.
I love the fuck out of him. He's amazing. He's just all over the place.
I think he's hilarious, dude. And he doesn't even. The thing is, dude, is he doesn't even try. Like, sometimes you can tell he's shit posting on Twitter on purpose. You know what I mean? But
we're talking about something completely different.
Other times, dude, he just. I don't know, like the shit that I see with like the media, like how they portray him, it's just like what the fuck. And the fact that people believe it is what's even more mind-boggling to me.
About who are you talking about? Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Okay, so he said he saw the eclipse and looked at it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's like what I'm referring to what Alan was talking about with the media, and like what I'm saying is like you can't blame the guy for constantly tweeting and shit. I wouldn't trust the media either. I mean, I saw 5 fucking articles today about how horrible it was when Trump looked at the eclipse without sunglasses.
You know,
like they're just trying so hard at every little thing this man does for no reason.
Yeah,
I know.
and
Well,
that's crazy.
It's dumb. It's stupid. But here's the one thing. Did you notice how Rusty remembered your name?
Yeah.
See, now those are little tiny things that I see in men that are very, very respectable. Is that he just, boom, just like that. And I see things like that in men. Little tiny things that other people miss. Shouts out to you, Rusty.
Yeah, I get it. I get it, man. I get it. Yeah, that's really cool.
People are insane about Donald Trump. There's people on my show that talk shit about Donald Trump, and I ask them, what is it you don't like about Donald Trump? And they can't even fucking answer you. They can't tell you. Well, they can't say anything. They're just, I don't know if it's based in some kind of fucked up jealousy or some fucked up man thing that's going on with this guy. I don't know if it's the same as having, somebody like Marilyn Monroe become president or something, and all the women are like, well, she's just a whore. I mean, I don't know where it comes from, but it's really messed up. It's really messed up. And even the left can't tell you why they hate Donald Trump.
I have a theory. I have a theory.
They make shit up, don't they, Rusty? The entire left does.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I have a theory about that. I have a theory that every generation has to rebel against something. In the 60s, it started with hippies. They had to rebel against something. In the 20s, it was prohibition. In different eras, I mean, in the 40s, it was cool to be at war. It was cool to be American. 50s, okay. 60s, rebellion. 70s, rebellion. 80s, rebellion. What do people have to rebel against nowadays? We are such a wide open culture. We will accept anything. I live in California.
Oh,
Good God Almighty. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I would be a gay illegal immigrant in California. Imagine the benefits I would get. Imagine all of the momentum. I would have friends everywhere. I would have people willing to do my bidding in the legislature. Because that's how California is just built that way nowadays. That's how it is. That's how it has become. So I think that these people like the Antifa mob and everything like that. He's taking it. Beautiful.
Oh, sorry.
No worries, man. No worries. Chill. Hey, Mikasa Sukasa, chill out, man. It's cool. So my theory is that these folks need to rebel against something, and they are rebelling against. Now, I have a cousin who I've gotten into Facebook discussions with about this. She's gay and she's an immigrant. Not an immigrant. She was born here, but my family is very diverse. And, I have no problem with her being gay. I have no problem with her at all. But she was talking about white privilege the other day. That white people, because of their skin, are born with an automatic privilege, and they need to help up the immigrants, and they help up other people of color.
You know what confuses me about that statement itself?
What's that, Rusty?
They accuse every single right-winger of being racist, right?
Right.
But then they have the idea that certain people are born a certain way. Really makes you think.
Good point. There you go. Bam. Boom. Excellent.
That's a good. And if you ever corner, actually, I have some audio that I would love to play for you guys. It's are you guys familiar with what happened at Yale last year around Halloween?
Nope.
Remind me.
Okay. A professor who there was a professor who put out a statement about there were people who dressed in cultural costumes, let's call them, okay? I think it was a Mexican sombrero and poncho and one of those serapes, and they were having burritos and just having a great time, and it was considered to be insensitive. Okay. Now, what happened is this professor at Yale decided that she would write in the school newspaper or put out a letter or something that these students had the right to do whatever they wanted to do. Like, they should be able to make the choice. The students called for her head because she was being insensitive and racist. Well, her husband worked for Yale University as well. He's since resigned, as she has, because of all the uproar and furor. Now, if you could, I would ask if you can listen. I don't know if I can patch it through on Skype, but I will play it on the show. So if you could, I'd like you to listen to it. This is a brief clip. Yale students berating professor.
So she got mad that they were dressed like that, or
no, she didn't. She said that all of the issues that they were having with this were silly. That people should be able to have freedoms and be able to expand their mind and do what they want, especially on a holiday like Halloween. So basically, so the students thought that everything was insensitive and blah, 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 blah. And, oh, God, it is terrible. So if you would, I'm going to mute the Skype for a while and just take a listen. This is a bunch of highlights. The male voice who sounds defensive is the professor that is the other professor's husband. And he's basically walking out into this mob of students who have gathered. And he's trying to explain what's going on. So take a listen. I'm going to play it. Okay, hold on.
You're wrong for racism. Okay. So we're sitting here telling you that you are being racist. You are being offensive. You admitted that you hurt us. Why can't you say sorry?
That has been my biggest reaction from this email, is that you're not listening. It is no longer a safe space for me. And I find that incredibly depressing, because I feel that in your role as master...
Alan, we don't hear anything.
After sending that email and after not having an appropriate response, that...
Oh, shit. Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm sorry.
Because I was ready to listen to Rusty get going on the left. I love hearing Rusty talk about the left.
Oh, this is super good. This is super good. So let me see if I can... Hold on a second here. Okay, let's see.
Oh, another big thing is... accusing people of being Nazis, but then saying they can't say certain things or do certain things.
Exactly. There you go. I love when he starts talking shit like that. I love it. It's great.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to play...
Oh,
okay, let's see, microphone and sources. Okay, the output should be fine, so hopefully you can hear it. Tell me if you can hear it.
You're wrong for racism. Okay. So
nope.
We're sitting here telling you that you are being racist. You are being offensive. You
nope.
admitted that you hurt us. Why can't you say sorry?
Reaction from this email is that you're not listening.
Nope.
For me.
Are you sharing system sound on Skype?
Because I feel that in your role as master and associate master, after sending that email and after not having...
There's a thing you can do now that says share system sound.
Our opinion has been
I don't know. I woke up on the board, so I've got it all down anyway.
I hear that you are
Alan, what's up? We can't hear anything.
Sorry that I have caused you to feel pain. I have not heard that from you, and I've not heard that from your wife. And that is what I want to hear. I don't want to hear any more defensive terms, because it's not fair to us.
Yeah. The moral of Michaela's comment just now, the moral of the story is that she wants an apology, yet you respond not with an apology. I still think that the phrase hurt feelings
Okay, tell me the phrase you want me to use, I'll use it.
I don't know, was an expression of racism.
I wanted to do the statement was racist. I wanted to do the statement was racist. I wanted to do the statement was racist. I want to agree with it.
So then apologize!
I want to make sure.
I understand, like, what is the issue?
Can I say?
Let us define our
If I cannot...
phrases. Let us tell you if you're being racist.
Okay, no. Hold
Actually,
on one
that
second.
is actually how it works.
1 second. If I smile, it seems
No,
like...
I haven't heard anything he's on.
I'm trying. No, I want you to own the fact, all of you, to own the fact that it's very easy to take something I say and misinterpret it, okay? That's part of it. So I'm trying very hard to talk to you, to show you the kind of person that I am. Let me say something else. So I have a vision of us as people, as human beings.
Yes.
That actually privileges our common humanity. That is interested not in what is different among us, but what is the same. Okay? And so we all have the capacity, I believe.
Okay, so
let me finish one sentence. I believe, even though I have a different life experience than you, even though I have a different skin color and gender than you, I believe there are parts of your experience that I can understand as a human being.
Hold on,
one idea at a time. One idea at a time. If you want to just look for reasons to either to think ill of me, you are free to do so. But if you'd like to, I understand you think ill of me. But if you want to hear what I have to say, and you want to actually, act in a way that is like people who are interested in a conversation, then let me at least address as a human being one thing at a time. Not like a mob that's trying to get me some different things. Like I was just saying, I have a vision of ourselves that unites our common humanity. Okay? So I believe, even though I'm not like you in the sense of my superficial appearance, that I can sit down and talk to you and understand your predicament.
I am sick looking at you. I am disgusted watching Lex argue with you. You were not listening. You were disgusting.
Right now. Look at me.
Yes.
Look at me.
Yes.
Do you understand? You and I are not the same person. We're humans. Great. Glad we understand that. But your experiences will never connect to mine. Empathy is not necessary for you to understand that you're wrong. Okay? Even if you don't feel what I feel ever, even if nobody's ever been racist to you, because they can't be racist to you, because they can't be racist to you, because they can't be racist to you.
Okay, you guys with me?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay, so were you listening to that a little bit? Did you hear some? Oh, you couldn't hear it. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. We've just been sitting here talking.
Okay, so basically, I am so sorry you couldn't, because you can't play the show over on that side while you're on Skype, I imagine. So basically what they were doing is some of the highlights were they were saying that he basically, empathy was not necessary for him to admit that he was wrong, the professor, that one girl started wailing and screaming, "Why don't you just apologize?" Why? And there were people who were calling him disgusting. There were people who... He didn't say anything wrong. He just basically said he had a vision that people could understand each other, and they just basically told him, "You're wrong. You're wrong. You will never understand what I am going through." And
everyone's special snowflake.
Yeah, and they were like, one girl actually said, "This is our home. You have made this, you have turned this into a non-safe space. This is our home." Is a university supposed to be a home? I don't understand. Is it a university or is it a home?
It's where you stay. I mean, it's basically whatever.
Well, yeah, but I mean, when you think of the word home, you think of a place that is safe and comforting and warm, like a warm hug. University should not, in my opinion, be that way. It should be a place where you are challenged and dreadfully uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Dreadfully uncomfortable. And these students are like, Yale is our home.
Mm-hmm.
And they make it into this home, and Yale is just coddling all of these children and turning them into just
man children and women children.
Once they go into the real world, they're going to get hit in the face, because the real world doesn't work like this.
I mean, Alan, I'm assuming you're quite a bit older than me. I'm sure you've worked warehouse jobs and other shit, right?
I have, certainly.
Okay, well, imagine it like this, okay? Because, no offense, you're not in the same generation as me, so I'm assuming you don't see it as much. But, imagine, that man-child douchebag smokes pot, he just works, he calls off all the time, you know what I mean? Guys like that you'd work with in the warehouse that are going to be there for long.
Yeah.
Imagine that. That's it's so much worse now. It's so much worse. And we have people like that come through my job all the time because it's hard labor.
Oh my God. And they want special treatment.
Want to be exactly, and we're just like, no, dude, this is a fucking job. Get your shit done.
Oh my God, yeah, it's really my job. they were sympathetic to my situation just recently, because I had quite a few things happen. But at the same time, when I was there, I was expected to work, and I knew that.
Exactly.
I took the time off that I needed, and yes, it's been extremely difficult because I work a sales job. You got to be
oh god
on all the time, and I was dealing with a heavy amount of grief, a lot on my mind, and yet not that my company was being cold or crass. They were just like, if you're here, you'd better be here,
Yeah.
because this company depends on you. And what a lot of these kids don't understand is these companies depend on them. But they are saying you depend on my whim. And that's the difference. Doesn't work that way. Companies don't work that way. They to an extent depend on their employees' happiness. But at the same time, it's supposed to be a symbiotic relationship. So, yeah, it is amazing what's going on right. If you ever get a chance, look up what's going on at Yale University right now. You are going to piss yourself with anger. It is awful. Awful coddling. So, there is my statement of the day.
Yeah. Sorry, I was talking to somebody else.
Damn.
I don't know. I have family that goes to that went to Yale, that also went and became Rhodes Scholars, but I don't know anything about what's going on up there at right now. I don't keep up with that bullshit, I guess.
Well, basically, if you have an opinion that is against the modern left, you are considered an enemy.
That's ridiculous.
Well, they give it, like, what they're doing now is they're catering more to their students, like, and not in a good way. Like, they're giving them bake sales, and they're giving them like safe spaces, and they're basically just coddling these kids. And the real world doesn't work that way, unfortunately. It'd be nice, but no, it doesn't work that way. And these kids
I'm sorry, Alan. I'm listening, but I'm just not versed on what you're talking about. I'd have to bring Chuck in. But,
okay.
No, I understand what you're saying, but I don't know. I just never.
Do you even? I mean, is there like? Do you have any empathy towards the millennial generation that you've noticed, Debbie?
Absolutely. I'm all up in their shit because I know exactly. They're all over me over here in real life. I mean, this is what I'm around, and I have this uncanny capability to feel what these guys feel and to understand what they're going through. And I think that they are some of the most intelligent people to come around in a long time. I think that people are giving them a bad rap because they have information at the drop of a hat. And they're the most informed group of human beings I've ever been around in my life, even more so than Generation X or Generation Y.
Damn. What about the liberal millennials?
I think they should all be shot.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
driven off into the Pacific Ocean slowly. I'm just saying, it's a bunch of whiny bitches that are listening to their parents bitch, and it's stupid. It's a bunch of bleeding heart liberal bullshit, and they're training these kids to be that way. I don't listen to them. I just go, shut the fuck up. And, let me know when you're in the reality, when you're in the goddamn real world. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Rusty, what are your thoughts on Antifa?
Oh boy, I'm going to go on mute.
I want to hear this.
There's a lot of things I could say about them, including terrorists and literal cucks.
Would you call yourself a Kekistani?
Yeah, most definitely.
All right. Then you and I speak about the same language. Shadalay, brother.
Fuck,
now,
there was something I was about to say, and I completely spaced it.
It's okay. It's cool. But the thing about Antifa, it seems like they are allowed to get away with hate speech. I don't agree with that.
All the time.
I don't agree with that. They are allowed to get away with hate speech. They are allowed to say whatever it is that comes on their mind, whether it be evil. I've seen Facebook Live posts from like Boston Antifa, Arizona Antifa. Arizona Antifa was a guy who was covered in a face shawl and like a hat. You couldn't tell who he was, and he was talking about the most recent gun he purchased on Facebook Live.
Oh God, I bet that was hilarious.
Oh God, it was like he was talking about this gun, and I was just thinking, my God, dude, if a guy who was of the right-wing ilk did that, you know that 1,000 Antifa motherfuckers would come up his ass and report him. But this guy, oh, right on, fight the power. It's like, what I don't like is I don't like when there's a separation of rules. Like all my life I've noticed that there are people who play, even in corporate America, there are people who play to certain rules. And there are different rules. Like the handbook for a company only refers to like a certain few. The rest of everybody else gets special privileges.
Yep.
And it sucks because it's like, not that I want to go out and blast hate speech. It's just one of those things like, well, shit, these guys can't say that, but these guys can. That's not even. That's not equal. That's not equal opportunity.
If I was Rusty's age, I would do anything I could not to work for somebody in fucking corporate America. I wouldn't go anywhere near it.
It depends who it is, to be honest. I worked for Walmart, and I was like, I feel like I'm killing my morals.
Exactly.
Especially when people would come through and pay with food stamps. I was just like, no, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, you just open your own business. Just do your own work for yourself. No man that ever worked for any other man. Well,
I remember what I was going to say. Referring to fucking Debbie's comment about how my generation has access to all this information, right? So wouldn't that make these, like, how do I put it? With all this shit that's out there, okay? And from what I've spoken to so many liberals that are my age, and it seems that like they're so highly uneducated, but like they are educated in certain areas, especially the college ones. But at the same time, like if you talk about anything that outside of what they've been educated on, it's like they're dumb. And what kills me is like that's how the stereotypical liberal is. You can say the same thing about a conservative redneck, okay? But the problem is it's not the conservative rednecks anymore that are the issue. It's literally these college students and other people my age that just have all this information in front of them, but somehow are still liberal, and it makes no sense. It's like, dude, if you have all this information in front of you that can tell you all of this crazy shit, that especially when you claim to be so like on such a high moral ground that you see your party doing, but yet you still support them. It's like, what? Either you see it or you don't. You know what I'm saying? And some of them do see it and they just don't care.
I have a niece.
But my point being is the fact of that so many liberals have access to all this information, and yet still seem to think that this certain way of doing things that they think is okay.
Right, but okay. That is your opinion. And right now I'm going to play devil's advocate because I like doing that. It pisses my wife off to no end. But being of the generation, they have had access to electronics this whole time. And what has the internet brought to the world? The internet has brought the news and everything at the snap of a finger. So you have all of these different parts of you have all these different channels of information to choose from. Wouldn't you choose the channel that most fits to benefit you?
Yeah, but you still have to have the common sense to go outside of your comfort zone and try to learn new things.
No, exactly. That's the thing. When you get handed so much information, the decisions are made for you.
No, they're not.
I disagree with that statement, though, because
I disagree.
I grew up in the generation with that. Like, I completely get what you're saying, but the thing is it's just this little bit of common sense.
Keep in mind, I'm playing
personally.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
But it just tells me personally and many other people that I associate with, obviously because it's the kind of person I am, I'm going to associate with other people around me, but or other people like me. But it's just, to me, it would be common sense to go outside of your comfort zone and learn new things. If it's not physically going to harm you, then what is the problem?
Yeah, but these people think that these people have been so trained by these channels of information And once they get locked into a certain channel, they
parent.
don't go outside.
It's their parents. They're under mommy and daddy's dictatorship because they're in college and and so they want to do whatever mommy and daddy do.
That's the thing is, it's also the ghetto kids too who don't have mom and dad.
Yeah, they feel now in Texas, Debbie. Where are you from, Rusty? Where are you from?
I'm from Indiana.
Okay, you're from Indiana. Do you guys have an illegal immigration problem in Indiana?
Not that bad, but we do.
Yeah, the same thing in Chicago. I mean, there's all sorts of warehouse jobs up there, and places get busted all the time. But Debbie's in Texas.
I live in fucking Mexico.
Yeah, Debbie's in Texas, okay? And have you been running across people who were born here, who grew up here, who are fighting for immigrant rights and saying that immigrants should have the same right? Illegal immigrants. I'm not talking about legal immigrants. My whole family that I've been adopted into are legal immigrants to the United States. They came from the Philippines. I'm talking about illegal immigrants who don't go through the process, who jump ahead in line. And granted, they have a lot of challenges getting here, but they're asking for the same rights.
Fuck them. I don't believe in that. I had a housekeeper recently who was living off of, she was illegal as hell and was bragging about she had a baby and it was completely free and she got all this free stuff and I'm over there paying her by the week. You know what I'm saying? They don't report. They're bad. Illegal immigration is horrible. I think they should all be sent back on a whatever the fuck. I have a strong stand against illegal immigrants. Everybody else can come in. They can come in the right way, and the other ones can get the fuck out. I'm just sorry. That's the way I feel about it.
Well, here's the thing.
Can I give my view on this?
Yeah. Go ahead, Rusty. Go ahead. I'm sorry, bro.
From a non-economic standpoint, I'm gonna be careful with my words here. I've seen firsthand how the shit works with illegal immigration. Everything from Russian to fucking Mexican, I've seen it, and it's bad. It's always bad. I've been like, no. Well, let me rephrase. It's not always, but 98% of the time that I've ever seen this shit, it is bad. 98% of the time, you are indebted for the rest of your life to some type of criminal organization. And 98% of the time, when these people are crossing the border, especially the Hispanics, the coyotes will sit there and look at them, hand them a gun, be like, go rob this gas station, whatever, bring me the money back. And then now you're going to go report to so-and-so afterwards. Make sense?
Jesus Christ.
That's how this shit happens, and that's what I'm saying. Like, people don't understand exactly how bad illegal immigration actually is outside of an economic standpoint.
Yeah, and Trump gets hit with that.
These families spend their life earnings sending their kids over here through coyotes. And just recently here in Walmart, there was a truck pulled over and they were all dead because they didn't have any air back there.
Yep.
I'm sorry that Mexico sucks. I'm sorry that you have to live in squalor and eat, dogs and stuff. But, even the Bible teaches there's always going to be poor and there's always going to be the miserable. And I don't think that it's up to this country to just let them all in. Build the wall. I say build the fucking wall.
Do you ever feel, do you feel sad for some of these folks, or is it just like all of them have this agenda?
Of course I feel sad for him, but when I take my child to the emergency room, Alan, and I'm sitting number 23 in line paying $1,400 a month in health care, and I've got some sniveling, snotty-nosed, illegal immigrant Mexicans that are ahead of me, that's why I walked up and said, excuse me, bitch, but I will be seen next. Okay.
Oh yeah, I have a story about that actually.
They don't even freaking teach their kids English. They make us teach them English, and so they're a burden in this country. And I'm sorry that their life sucks, but that's not for us to worry about. I'm just being honest.
Well, let me tell you my story here. My wife, when she was first pregnant with our oldest, we went to this one hospital. And it was kind of the same thing. My wife wasn't seen. She went for an 11 a.m. appointment. She wasn't seen until 1. And she saw people walking in and walking back. Now, they did happen to be Hispanic, but they did not show any sort of identification, nothing like that. And not to say that, I don't want this to go slippery slope here, but just stating the facts, they didn't show any identification, they didn't show anything, and they were basically going to see if they were pregnant. And they walked in, walked out. My wife had an appointment. She sat there for 2 hours. And
I did. And I walked straight up and I said, I will not be seen behind these fucking people. Do you understand me? I pay $1,400 a month in health care. These people are here sponging off the fucking government. It was at downtown at Children's Hospital. Stephen had 105 degrees fucking fever. And I put my foot down. I was pretty radical that night, too. And my girlfriend that was with me goes, God damn, Debbie. I said, it's bullshit. I'm not going to sit behind these people.
Yeah, I get that. And when I heard about it, because I wasn't there, I had to go to work because I was the only one working at the time. So she went there. But the point is when she was seen, she was highly disrespected. She was given a blood test by a nurse who wasn't even nice to her. She waited in that room for half an hour until the doctor went to see her and basically said, "You're not pregnant," without even really touching her. Now, my wife and I had Cadillac health insurance at the time. And you would think that the people who were, I guess, who had paid into the system would be benefited from that by being seen. But for some reason, there was more of a benefit to see these other people who didn't speak a lick of English, who went ahead of my wife. I was still trying to figure out what's the benefit of that. They didn't have appointments. What's the benefit? And the only thing I can think of is they're getting some kind of subsidy that's more than the insurance. And that's just terrible.
Well,
that's
you
just
could
greed.
be right, but also there's people around the world have this need to think that they're white knighting for humanity or some bullshit like that. I don't feel that way. I white knight for one group of people, and that's my family, and that's not just people with my last name. And I'm sorry, that's just the way I feel. This country is, I'm sorry, I'm just going to go on mute because I can really go on a radical standpoint about this because, I'm sorry, this is our fucking country. Those people that come over here and do shit for us. You know what I'm saying?
there's also the idea that this all could have been avoided if corporations weren't greedy enough to bring up the migrant workers from Mexico. Way back. And it became a part of their heritage and their culture to be picked up by a truck across the border and drive up to pick strawberries. It became a thing that they did. And
I know.
And it's like and as that continues to go through generation after generation, it drove the price of labor, the cost of labor down. It drove the cost of groceries down, which is good. I like the price of strawberries and other things. But the point being is that it started this chain reaction of behavior. Not to mention that, at least in California, I guess it was the same as Texas, but in California, the folks in Mexico still consider this their land. So it's like they're not only working up here, but
right. I understand that.
Yeah.
It all came from the Mayans and stuff like that. But you have to look at any football game that's ever happened. Somebody won and somebody lost. Okay, I'm sorry. I am fucking sorry. They've got a lot of country down there. They absolutely let Darren cracks me up. They absolutely let their country's gone to shit, and they just. I'm sorry. I don't feel the same way. I think it's fucked up.
Pop quiz, Debbie. Pop quiz. What is the second largest source of income for the Mexican government?
Drugs.
No.
What? Oh,
American currency being wired down.
Well, yeah, okay, you're right. Being wired down from people like my maid, which is what she does. She wires down their fucking money, and Donald Trump was going to cut that off.
Well, he was either going to cut that off, or he was going to put a tax on it. Yeah, that's how they would pay for the wall. He'd put, like, if you go down to Western Union to send down $1,000, you got to pay $1,050, or something like that.
Mexicans are ran by the drug deal, the drug cartel. Period. Mm-hmm. Y'all ever seen those documentaries on that stuff? And it's crazy what happens down there.
Well, when the Sinaloa cartel, when one of their higher capos, using mafia term, when one of their higher captains was killed, he was given full Catholic honors in a cathedral that was named for him. Wow. Right? Full Catholic honors. And in a cathedral that was named for him.
The Catholic Church wouldn't even let certain mafia members be buried in Catholic cemeteries.
Nope, not oh shit, which one was that? I think that was, oh God, who was that?
It was in the Genevieve. It was out of Chicago.
There was a guy who was so into the drug trade, and he was blown away in the back of a restaurant. And his funeral was attended by like a dozen people, and they didn't give him Catholic honors. I forget his name, but he was
in the Genovese family. I could be wrong about that.
In the Genovese?
I think he was with the Chicago outfit.
Yeah, but he was blown away like a bitch. He was blown away while eating it. He still had his cigar in his mouth when he was shot. When the cops came, he still had a cigar in his mouth.
The cops put that in his mouth just to be funny, but
just
I
to be
understand.
assholes. Just to be assholes, right? Just
troll
like
the dead. Yeah, trolling the dead, so to say.
Yeah, but yeah, the point is like what I was saying is I think it's I think it's an unfortunate situation, but Rusty's laughing. What happened?
Sorry. No,
it's cool, man. So it's an unfortunate situation, but in the end, I think, why wire money back to the country that like fucked you? I don't get it. I just don't get it. So, but hey guys, I got to get going because I got to go to work in the morning, and I got to take both my kids to school. Debbie, I'm going to say this right now. You were right.
I'm always right.
Well, let's not get carried away. In this instance, you were right on. This is exactly what I needed, because I probably would have crapped out after 45 minutes. So thank you for coming on. Rusty, you're the man, dude. Thank you for coming on.
It's no problem. Thank you.
Much appreciated.
I'll send in chat what I found that was fucking hilarious. You're gonna start dying.
Yeah, dude, that sounds great. But I got to run. I'm gonna end this with a song. So thank you guys very much. Much appreciated. Take care.
It
was my pleasure. Okay, so we had guests here, Debbie and Rusty, and I gotta say, I've had my doubts when it came to Debbie. I've had my run-ins with Debbie, but there is one thing that I gotta say. Tonight was exactly what I needed, because I started the show. Guy Shea had called in sick, and I was planning to have this Rage Live with him and everything else. I was planning to just have this type of conversation, but on a higher level. And I was left on my own, and all I could think about was myself and what was going on with me. And Debbie just snapped me out of it. Brought my mind to other things, took my mind off of the misery that I've been going through for the past little while. And I got to say, she was right. To those of you who are saying I'm kissing her ass, that don't matter. When you're right, you're right. And damn it, she was right on this. And our daddy, you fucking asshole. Darren, you troll. The guys in the chat room saying that the end of the show is always the best. God damn it. Well, I got a lot more to work on as far as being interesting, but it's good to have guests. This is a Random Internet Radio Show. We're going to end it with some Dope Stars, and this is a song I dedicate to our daddy. This is called Brain Damage.
Another year without a light to see, without a lack of chemicals for me, they always try. What I do, what I see, there is no chance for me to get a dream. We'll do it live! Fuck it! I'm tired to serve, I'm tired to please, I'm tired to yell, to take some breath. I just found a way to give my rage. I'm very proud, according to myself, to throw it out. With violence, it's smashed down to the ground and purify my hands. I'm tired to serve, I'm tired to please, I'm tired to yell, to take some breath. Fuck it down, and so you're not my lord, I'm not your land. Just thank your We'll do it live! Fuck it!